Welcome back, everyone. Sandeep, over to you. Sandeep Kalra, our Director Learning and Events, is going to lead this session.
Thank you so much, Dexter, and welcome after the break. It's indeed my privilege to introduce today's masterclass speaker. When we talk about what's happened in the keynote address and also the fireside chat, it's further continuation of that. When I say when coaching moves from competence to way of being, you meet today's speaker, Cindy Muthu Karapan, an MCC, ACTC, which is fine, but who has perhaps mentored maximum number of MCC coaches across the globe. And that's why Cindy is known globally for her wisdom, depth, presence, and contribution to the coaching profession. She is widely respected as a mentor, coach, assessor, and educator. She has contributed to advancing the coaching profession globally, including serving as a subject matter expert for the ICF Global on updating the core competencies and developing professional standards. A former president of ICF South Africa chapter, she played a key role in transforming and elevating coach development, contributing to its recognition with the ICF Global High Performance Chapter Award. She currently serves as Chief Learning Officer at Cocharia. That's where she became my mentor too. Her work centers on strengthening systemic leadership effectiveness, helping leaders build cohesive, high-performing teams that foster growth, collaboration, and innovation. Beyond her professional accomplishments, Cindy treasures quiet moments. I know her more for that, beginning her day with sunrise, coffee, and a few moments of solitude. Family lies at the heart of life, grounding her and reminding her and all of us that meaningful leadership begins in the everyday relationships we nurture. She often says, coaching is more than finding purpose. It's about helping people live their purpose. And that spirit is at the heart of her work and today's session for the masterclass also. Please join me in welcoming Cindy. Cindy, over to you to enthrall.
Thank you, Sandeep. Coaches, hello, and I am very privileged to be a part of this event, join my colleagues in South Africa, and with many of you already know here. So I'm looking forward to spending the next hour or so with you, and together we can engage in some good learning activities. Sandeep, may I check with you, please? How many minutes do I have?
Dexter, about 60 minutes from now.
I think it's slightly lesser now, right, Dexter? You unmute, Dexter.
Yes, we have about 60 minutes. We should be ending by around 3:05. So we're a little behind on time.
Okay.
So let's take it as it goes. I mean, at the most we'll have about 40 minutes or so. It's 2:20, 2:25.
So let's
So
say
Cindy,
45 minutes in all.
are you okay with 40 minutes or 45 minutes?
I can adjust. Be flexible. We are coaches. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's what is known for Cindy.
Yeah, we all are flexible, grounded, and open. We can adjust. So, coaches, let's dive in. We got less time. We'll just dive in now. The topic for today, I'll share my screen for just a moment with you. The topic in this webinar is all about it's all about purpose and action. So we all have purpose. We all feel it. We every now and again would have this ha-ha moment, and we begin to wonder about it, and something happens and we think, haha, that's my purpose. For many coaches, connecting with people and helping people live a better life or live their potential, that is their purpose. Today's webinar, we're going to do a deeper dive into how to align purpose to action. And it's jointly for horses coaches and for others, meaning the clients we serve, the people we connect with. And just to frame a bit about the webinar, many leaders in this current times, they are struggling to live consistently with daily choices they make.
Will you put your screen on show on flight mode on the ship?
Nandini, can you help?
No, I'm fine. I'm going to stop it for now. Many of us know what we want and we struggle with the actions we take. So just to get us all on one page for right now, so that we all align, what is purpose for you? Please feel free to use the chat box, or one or two of you can open your mics and feel free to engage. For you, what is purpose? What does purpose mean for you?
Hi, Johnny here from Bangalore, Cindy.
Go ahead.
It means my North Star.
How do you know, Johnny, it's your North Star?
Because I've been always
What tells you? Yeah, go ahead.
I've always been conditioned to see north as the up and south as down, which is not true. In a spherical reality, there is no up and down. Therefore, there is no north and south. But then conditioning has taught me that north is up. So always upwards and onwards is my purpose.
Okay. Others, what is purpose for you?
For me,
something, Cindy. Sorry.
Sorry, please carry on. Somebody else is there.
Sorry. Sorry, please continue.
So for me, it sounds
And I'll come
purpose is something to be created, executed, and is there, it exists in the mind, on the hindsight of the mind, for which we continuously put an effort.
Somebody else wants to say something, and then I'm going to continue.
Go ahead. So for purpose, to me, is like something that makes me for meaningful, like which brings meaning to me for whatever I'm doing, for my existence. That's purpose for me.
So how does purpose live around you or inside you? What are your thoughts on that? How do you know you're living your purpose?
We'll contend it.
Just need the alignment.
For me, Cindy, it's when you live for your purpose, whatever you do gives you much meaning to life and fulfillment. But what's more critical is that it is only a purpose if it benefits humanity. If it only benefits you, it is very much self-centered and limited in my view. So that for me is purpose. And that feedback, you get it by the difference that you make to your environment and people around you, and the benefit is that fulfillment and happiness in life.
Wow. Okay.
May I request anyone who wants to speak can raise his or her hand first to avoid any confusion?
So then, is purpose just a statement or a goal or a brand? What do you think? What are your thoughts? Or is it far more? Does it go far beyond? And if you say it goes beyond, then what is it? How do you know you're living this purpose?
Shweta.
Yeah, according to me, it's a moving goal. It can change over the period of time, we feel at one particular moment of time that this is a purpose, but it may change after 5 years or 10 years. But yes, it gives us a sense of direction, and it is always higher than us. I feel it already includes everyone. It's not a goal, according to me.
Vanessa, and then George. Vanessa dropped her head. George, you may go ahead.
Yeah, for me, if I could tell a quick story, I started off life always wanting to be a lawyer, and that was my purpose. When I achieved that, and I went to work in the corporate environment, everyone migrated to me for advice, for direction, and I ended up sitting here as a coach. And I found it was the feedback from people asking, looking for help, and I would glow after I've helped somebody achieve something. And so today, my purpose isn't about being in law, it's to glow after I have worked with somebody and I can see their eyes light up and they're chasing something. That grows me. And I think grows me more than them. But I find for me, that is my purpose.
So from what you all are saying, I know some hands are up, I'm aware of that. Give me a moment. From what you all have said already and what's in the chat box, purpose is far more than a moment of an insight, right? It feels like, as somebody said, a movement. It feels like more when your values, your strengths, your meaning, your natural capabilities and abilities wants to move towards a particular something. Like somebody said, if your value is always connection, I want to connect to people, then you'll choose community development, or you may want to become a coach. So it feels very aligned to your values and what you're deeply grounded in as beliefs or ways of being, ways of thinking. I'm going to share screen again for a moment, and then we are going to do a small activity together. So clients, coaches, you know this, clients are always living a story. Even for us, we are living a story. When clients come and talk to you about wanting to focus on a particular goal, they don't tell you just like that. Today, I want to work on getting onto social media or becoming a new brand for myself. They tell you an entire story, right? So clients are always living a story, and it changes over time, and it could be many stories at one time. Coaches help them become the author of their next chapter consciously, in how to grow, what they are learning, and how they are taking the next step. If you want to align it, we can call it core competency 8, facilitate learning and growth. And purpose is not fulfilled in just big moments alone. It is small, repeated alignment choices and steps. We all know that. We feel misalignment when we want to work on a particular goal. We've taken some steps towards it, and for some reason we stop. Like a common goal, we all want to go to gym 3 times a week, and we do it for a month and we stop. And then we feel some sense of misalignment to what we thought, this is what I wanted to achieve. And now I'm not aligned to it anymore. So there's something here, there's something more that contributes to living with your purpose or making choices aligned to your purpose. And that something is our behavior changes. How we change our behavior in small ways to take consistent steps that lead to the larger alignment to your purpose. And I hope I haven't been blocking my screen now, so So here's something, a metaphor if you want to call it. Moments of insights is only the first part of living your purpose or aligning to purpose. Insights live in our head. We get this haha moment or this moment of inspiration that leads us to take an action. And if it's not consistently repeated or practiced, that disappears after a while. And then the alignment changes. Purpose lives in your entire body. It becomes a part of you. Until your body and all of you, the total of you or the total of the client trust and aligns to that purpose, the mind will keep revisiting the decision or the choices that you are making. I'm going to stop screen share and we're going to do a small activity together. Coaches, I know some of you had your hands up. I would have loved to have gone more into hearing from all of you about your purpose. Please use the chat box if you need to share anything more. But for a moment, get comfortable in your chair. Let's do an exercise together. You're most welcome to do it on video or not. It doesn't require much from you, just some thinking. Think of a decision. Think of a decision that you have made. Maybe a big one or something that's sitting quite meaningful for you. Could be a career decision, a leadership decision, but something that sits inside of you and you consistently, like regularly worry about it, asking yourself, did I make the right decision? Was it a good choice for me? Okay? So now pay attention to that decision and all the parts around it. Are you wondering about your pros and your cons? Where are your thoughts right now? What are you thinking about this decision? What are you seeing as the point that keeps making you think about it? What is that point for you? Are you able to isolate that? What does this point feel like for you? This piece that you're isolated. What does that feel like right now? Is it a discomfort?
Cindy, may I request you to speak a little louder, please? We're again getting a bit congested.
Okay.
The bandwidth. Thank
How
you.
does that sit inside you? What does that feel like for you? I know I'm going slow, but I want you to feel the exercise. As you're thinking about this, what emotions are showing up for you? Around this piece that we're talking about, this decision, what emotions are showing up for you? Where is the energy sitting? If you're noticing feelings, where is the energy around this decision making or this piece of discomfort that makes you repeatedly think about it? Where is that sitting inside you? Pay attention to that part of your body. Is there any message there for you? What part of your body is trusting that message? And as you pay attention to whatever the message is, what is shifting for you physically in your body? Notice what is shifting and notice how you feeling about the shift. Is there any kind of difference that you are feeling around that decision? Is it settling for you? Are you feeling some new insight, some new awareness around the decision that you have just been working with? And how is it impacting you as a person, your own way of being. Notice all these thoughts, experiences, emotions, and body sensations you are feeling, and capture it for yourself. Capture all this for yourself. And when you're ready, bring yourself back into the webinar. And I'd love to listen to all of you. That's not possible. So we're going to do a breakout room sharing. With a small group of 4, we're going to breakout room, and I'll give you some questions as guiding questions to discuss with each other in breakout. Okay?
Nandini, hope you are ready. Yeah, Dexter?
Yes,
You're
we
on
are
mute?
ready.
Okay.
Sandeep,
Allow
the
me a
breakout rooms are
moment.
ready.
Yeah.
Allow me a moment to put up the questions.
Okay.
I suggest people take a screenshot of the question so you can carry it into your breakout room.
On the screen is your questions. I'll also copy it into the
Chat box.
what is going on? Okay, no worries, I'll copy it. So coaches, before you go into breakout, here are your questions on the chat box. And we've got about 12 minutes in breakout. So really get stuck in, dive in, and figure this out for yourself, right? What we did was something, a decision-making part that you want to work on that's aligned to a purpose. And in breakout, we want to talk about these questions in a way that moves the purpose into action. Enjoy your breakout session. We'll see you in 10 minutes. So coaches, I was a discussion for you. If you could type, sorry, I heard the echo, so I stopped. If you could type into the chat box, what are some of the learnings or an insight or an action that you're taking away for yourself? And in a few minutes, I'm going to share a tool with you. So if you could type into the chat box, how was that experience for you in discovering or unpacking something for yourself? Yeah, that's lovely. Purpose is evolving. It's a very good point, Juan. Let me take it now to the bigger picture of coaching. Okay, I'll say some things about transforming purpose into action or growth points into action. So coaches, the key here, as you know, as a coach, our ultimate goal of coaching is to help or support our clients to turn or transform the insights into actions. And as we do that session by session, the client begins to get to the point of success on a larger goal. It's the same as working to achieve their purpose or making their purpose a livable part of their everyday life. Like the purpose becomes achievable. It's like inside is this little flame inside you, a little spark of inspiration. And becoming having growth points is like an activity of flames, it's just growing and growing with more and more activity. And the more then you get to design repeated actions, you integrate, this word integrate, new learnings, and you build accountability systems, then purpose is a part of life. It becomes sustainable, meaningful actions. So I'm just going to repeat this tagline. Insight is a moment, growth is a process. And when you put this all together, that's core competency 8, where shift happens from insights into transforming what the client wants as a big picture of their goal. All small parts of the session leads to the bigger success or bigger achievement. And of course, we all know repeated steps, repeated actions. Sometimes people would say, I don't want to do this anymore. It's difficult, or they stop working on the goal. And the practice of working on repeated actions, you've got to normalize it, or coaching has got to normalize it into the client's daily world. When it feels isolated, it's difficult to work with. When it feels a part of daily living, then it makes it more meaningful, and transformation happens on a more regular basis. I'm going to share screen with you for a moment again to bring this all together.
A lot of interesting comments and very powerful ones are appearing in the chat box. You want me to read some?
In a moment. Let's bring this together and then we'll open for a discussion. Okay. So this is the activity you did in breakout room in a slide. I'll share the slide with you, where we spoke about insight lives in the head, purpose lives in the entire body.
Can we put in the slideshow, please?
Okay, coaches. So the insight is your thoughts, plans, decisions. And also it's in the mind. You'll get analyzing, doubts, reconsidering. But when it begins to become an embodied experience, then you feel it, you sense it, you begin to trust it. And values become aligned to it. So does your intuition. It plays a huge role in telling you, that is the purpose I wanted. Why am I not working on it? And then you, of course, get the bit of motivation or inspiration with the next coaching session to get back in action. So it's the body that trusts and aligns to purpose more than the head. It's the entire body experience. And of course, this allows you, or this encourages you for your clients to help them create quiet moments, pauses, time to reflect and realign. The realignment will be back to the commitment they wanted. Coaches, here's a tool for you to use. We'll talk about this tool and we'll stop for a discussion. Again, the tool is bringing it all together in a very simple way. When you have an awareness and you begin to feel and see what matters, you can use the process with your clients. You get an emotional attachment to it. You begin to feel it and it begins to sit inside you as a somatic alignment. It feels grounded. If you want to do some work on this, look at core competency 2. Embodies the coaching mindset. These are words that are highly attached to core competency 2. Choice sits in core competency 8 when, what will I do differently? And micro behavior, what's a small action you would take? And how you would repeat this ritual. So it's good to ask a client, this is an action you would take. Is there a ritual you want to create around it to do some practicing every day or on a regular basis? Because now you're creating sustainable growth processes. And of course, as the client notices they're moving towards a new way of doing, they also, it's a new way of becoming. Who are they becoming? How are they changing? And how does the larger environment support this change? And at the end of it all, we can acknowledge the client's growth towards the purpose they wanted to achieve. I will give you the slide so you will have this for yourself. I'm just going to check to see if there was anything more here. Okay. So let's take a moment and look at your learnings or whatever you've typed into the chat box. And, you know, with AI, I keep using chat box instead of chat box. But let's type into the chat box and bring the learnings and all your growth points for the session together. And while you do some typing about what are you learning, what do you want to take away for yourself? What are you taking away to work on your own purpose or in how you're going to help your clients? While you do that, I will copy the slides into Zoom. This is a slide that you did together with me in breakout in the main room, and you worked on those questions in breakout.
Yes, you must also. Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Sandeep.
No, I'm saying you must also be noticing a lot of wisdom flowing into the chat box, and we may read some of those so that we don't others don't miss on that.
Thank you. We can do. Everyone can do a copy of the chat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you also copy it just in case I miss it? Coaches, feel free to share anything that's sitting with you right now as a value or a takeaway or a learning or just a discussion point. Go ahead. So good points to raise with your clients are: when does purpose feel most alive for you? When does purpose fade into performance? When does your purpose just fade, becomes less, fade into performance? What for you signals misalignment? And here's your follow-on question. How does the body respond to misalignment? And how does the body respond when it's all aligned? And how does the client act in small ways to restore their alignment? So anything from you? We are reaching the end of our time together. We've got about, I think, 4 minutes. Anything you want to add or say, please feel free to do that. One of the biggest misalignments that we make as coaches is the belief that if a client has a powerful insight, growth will naturally follows. In reality, growth requires repeated integration, action, support over time in order for that transformation to happen. I'll say that as my closing thoughts, and now I'll stop and you can say whatever you need. That's lovely, Sean.
Well, Dexter, I see a lot of comments from you. Would you like to say a few words?
You're talking to me, Sandeep?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think there's so much of wisdom and insight, points of view that are being expressed over here in the chat and earlier too, plus the sharing that took place in the breakout rooms. I think that was really very valuable. And as coaches, we tend to be on the we tend to surf the waves of wisdom, so to say, and insight. That's what we think. But we are surfing usually our own waves. This has brought us to a beach where there are different waves from different sides, and we see a lot of other surfers. and we've been able to connect with the points of view that others have brought to the table. And I think what's coming through everything that we've been saying so far is that purpose is the kind of light from inside that you express on the outside and practice it, so that it moves from a moment of inspiration to a practice in which you can change the realities outside, transform, and bring yourself into that transformation, because it's not about you transforming others, it's about how do you transform yourself. So I can see that in motion. Thank you.
Yeah, very systemic in nature, self, others, the larger environment, back to self. Yeah. Thank you,
Dexter. Kim E, you mentioned very powerful about alignment, head, heart, and gut. Are you there?
Thank you. Yes, I am. Thank you. I think it also comes from ancient wisdom, and science stumbles upon ancient wisdom, and science just gives us practical ways of understanding things and techniques and models. And multiple brain integration is a science, and it is beautiful how it parallels. Cindy, I mean, you are aware of this, and so beautifully brought it into your masterclass. And if we understand the functions of the head brain perceiving, analyzing, and the heart brain, which is relational effect and values and passion, and the gut brain, which is core identity. By the way, it's the first brain formed with inception of life, whole other discussion. But if all of these get a chance to have a podium and a platform to bring their wisdom, they will serve and gift one another, and then we will get to alignment and wisdom. And this is quite a cool, practical way of doing that. So thank you.
Yeah. My encouragement to you coaches, as you continue coaching your client, many coaches go very quickly through core competency 8. What actions a client want? Stay there longer. That's when real transformation happens. Learning, growth pieces, continuation, the integration of that learning into everyday life. That's where change lies. Don't say 5 minutes to go, let's rush through the last bit. Stay there longer.
Yeah. Sham, you have given very insightful comments on the calm courage. And would you like to say something about it?
Most of us generally try to keep proving no matter how much ever we say. And I still remember Cindy telling me that 10 years ago that just be you, Sham, and everything will follow. I think we have enough wisdom and experience and knowing who we are. We just have to listen to ourselves. And when we are more calm, we get that courage to just try out new things. Ask that powerful one question, which can shift every thinking for that person. And that can be the most best gift you have ever given to them. That was my thought. Thanks, Cindy.
That's very powerful. And helps us look inside us, inwards, to become so more self-aware. Vanessa, I saw you raising your hands twice, thrice. We missed you. But a lot of comments which you have put. So would you like to voice about purpose lives in our subconscious brain? Vanessa,
thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy. So just based in terms of my experience as a coach, I found that the purpose, like we say, lives in us and in our subconscious brain. And I don't know if any of you have experienced it, but when the realization of that purpose happens, it's because we as coaches have helped shift through the way we question and we coach shift the individual from something that they could not articulate because there was no language for it, to bring it to a place where they're now able to speak it because there is a language for it. And that for me is the greatest value in the coaching process and that is when you'd get people becoming overwhelmed, where you would get them some people will even start crying because it is something in their gut they always knew, but they just could not speak it. They could not articulate it. So that is the greatest value that comes from the coaching process. But it doesn't end there, because what I found is they then have these best intentions, and I can speak for myself as well. We have these best intentions, and we put the action plans in place. And but there's still something that gets in the way of that, the realization of the purpose. And that is life happens. And so it's like the goals we set every New Year's resolution. And come the following year, if you're anything like me, you probably will set those same goals and not feel guilty about setting it. But something along the way stops us from doing it. So there's value you see in it initially, and you know it is important for you. But our immunity to change gets in the way of that. So I find that the first piece of work, that the value we bring to ourselves and to other lives, is languaging that which is in the subconscious brain. And from a neuro-linguistic perspective, the skill is there that we could do that. And then it is about, yes, you've not arrived yet. There's still so much work to be done. So even though I may find something valuable, and I know how important that is for me, and it's a beautiful exercise we did with Cindy as part of the masterclass was, and I can be honest and open with you, is I've got 3 grandchildren, and I want to be active for them, be able to, when they stay over with me and my husband, I want to be able to play with my grandchildren. So I need to be healthy and well, but I got to make time to make sure that I take care of my health, whether it's exercising, walking, whatever it is. And so that's where the struggle comes in, is our immunity to change gets in the way of the very thing that we value. And so that's just something I wanted to share with you. So thank you, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Vanessa. Very powerful indeed, and very insightful. And we can keep going on, and we may require one more masterclass to reflect on it from Cindy. Thank you so much, Cindy, for allowing us to pause and reflect, as you normally encourage all coaches to do. And it's been reflected in the comments and also mentioned by a few, that purpose is not just helping the client to be able to articulate, but it is the overall embodiment, and there has to be alignment in the head, heart, and gut. And unless the true purpose is embodied, it will not be felt in the physiology, expressed through our actions, and sustain action, reflect in our tone, voice, posture, breathing, and choices. And that's why the breakout room exercise also helped in that alignment. And when purpose is only conceptual, as you also mentioned, it stays intellectual till that aha moment is there. And it is important for us to stay in the competency 8 and not rush through it, to actually make the action sustainable and bring the desired outcome. Thank you so much for your time. I know you have been following a very hectic schedule, and you had a long session in the morning also. But thank you so much for taking this time out for this a very unique cross-continental collaborative initiative, for which we would like to thank South Africa chapter. And we have combined together to put it together for the benefit of all the coaches. May I now request Nandini to place the appreciation certificate, which will also be coming to you. This is from Mumbai chapter, and for the appreciation for the time and the gratitude, expressing the gratitude for all what you have done to us. Sanjeev Bhatia, would you like to say a few words? Sanjeev? Maybe.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah.
I think it's been excellent masterclass.
Your voice
I
is
believe
breaking.
people
Your
were
voice is
totally
breaking.
engrossed. They could touch themselves, actually, to be honest, at least in my subgroup, and the kind of. Okay,
What?
am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible now.
Is it better? My heartfelt thanks. Okay, my heartfelt thanks to Cindy. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And hello. Yeah.
Well, I think
there is some audio issue, Sanjeev. We will take this thank you, which has come with all your heart, and I'll hand it over to Dexter to take it forward in interest of the time. Cindy, any closing remarks from you?
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure being with you. I wish we could have engaged more, but I think considering the time, we did our best. Thank you all. Lovely being with you.
Thank you, Cindy. As they say, always get up from the dinner table feeling hungry. So we are feeling hungry for more. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for your comments, for participating, for the deep immersion that you have shown in this session. We now have a very special speaker to do the closing keynote, and her name is Kobati Magome, and she is the Director of Professional Development at ICF South Africa. She's the one who has brought this event to life, and therefore I'd like to thank Kobati for not only being here but for bringing us forward to this point. It's only fitting that she has in some way the last words at this event. Unfortunately, we have brought the time down a bit, so Kobati, you have about 25 minutes which you have to pack in your wisdom, which I'm sure you're used to doing considering who you are and what you do normally. Kobati is an MCC from ICF. She has 15 years of coaching leaders and teams, not just across Southern Africa, but across East Africa too. And I know that across the last week, she has been connecting with me while traveling, reading notes in the plane between Kenya and South Africa. She's a TEDx speaker. She talks about rewiring our brain to lead, and is involved with cutting-edge neuroscience and practical leadership strategies. So she kind of carries on from where we are at. She's also been a very special kind of, has had a very special kind of portfolio, if I may say so, as the former program director at the United Nations, former advisor to the Ministry of Education, and the chief director within the Department of Education at South Africa itself. A passionate advocate for women's leadership and a certified board director, Cindy brings her Master of Science and Bachelor of Science and all those qualifications in an embodied way to the table. Welcome to the final session of the day, Kobati. I'd like you to take this forward in the best way you can.
Thank you for that. Introduction. Can everybody hear me? There's a background noise from somewhere. I'm not sure if it's from you, Dexter. Okay, it's gone now. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And for this beautiful day that we have had so far. In my country, we say that this shift that I have is called a graveyard shift, which means everybody's tired. And you say, I like how you say, I get to have the last word. But it's fitting that we talk about it here, because we've been talking for all this while in the morning about individual purpose. And we know that we don't change the world by ourselves. And that in order to actually have systemic impact, we've got to translate that individual purpose to collective alignment to systemic impact. In order for us to achieve systemic impact. That's what Bo Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi, all are people that we look up to who've changed the world. They moved from their individual purpose to collective, and that was able to give systemic impact. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and to share this with you. What I want to do, I come from the premise that you all as coaches know what leadership culture is and how to do it. And there's a lot, and I could give a whole masterclass on that, because this is what I do every day of my life. I coach teams, leadership teams specifically, and then I coach executives who lead teams. So, but the lens I want to take for today is really one that says, it was informed by Dexter. Dexter was like, tell us what's happening over there. We want to know what's uniquely South African. And so I thought, I'll give you a perspective of, what is it like building a purpose-led culture in South Africa? What's our lived reality? And second, what learnings could we share with you humbly? And a lot of it is, coaching globally and regionally. Some of it is shared, and I'm just going to bring what we are finding in South Africa. But before we go, so in our African wisdom, or traditional wisdoms generally, we often say that rain does not fall on one roof alone. So rain never falls on one roof alone. So think about that. Now, what does it mean for our work as coaches and for leadership culture in particular? And that is that our individual coaching behavior or leadership behavior is like rain. It touches more lives than we ever see. And that's the ripple effect. I think the title of what I was asked to speak about is, what is the ripple effect? How do we ripple from that individual to create more than we could do alone? So that's really what it is. Rain never falls, does not fall on one roof alone. And so we may not even be aware of the impact or who we are touching, but in fact, when we are more aware, then we are able to be more impactful and purposeful and intentional, which is what part of what we spoke about earlier. Now, Dexter, I know you said I have 25 minutes. I'm not going to do a lot of what I had intended to do, but let me know. I think it's going to be time. So let's get started here. I'm curious. Let's start. Mind when you think of South African leadership? Comes to mind. Just put something on the chat, one word, and let's look into what that is for you. Oh, I'm breaking up, somebody said. Am I still breaking up?
No, clear now. It's happening when Dexter, you are unmuting. Somehow the two are complete. Yeah.
Oh, yes, everybody thinks Madiba. Okay. Madiba is our own. We don't want to disown him. We are proud of him. united together in one mind. Yes, that's true. What else? Dedicated. Wow, say more about that. Dedicated in what way? Diversity. Yes. Resilient. Absolutely. Colors of culture. Yeah. What else comes to mind for you? Anything else? Visionaries, of course. Mindful of all, celebration of all, in respect and appreciation of the lessons of the past, reverence for the collective. Ubuntu, of course. How can we not? Service, unity. Now, so thank you for all of us. Keep them coming. Earlier on, when Lorraine started the session, when she spoke about her unique experience and how she used to sing to the mango tree and how that was a way for her to process trauma. Even as I say that, I get some emotion. And what got triggered there for me is that so much of us also still carry the trauma from past apartheid. So I'm a barefoot Motswana girl, grew up in a village barefoot on the border of Botswana, which is in the northwest of South Africa, and bringing that. So with that, getting into the coaching world, having to own up to who I am, my uniqueness, my purpose, and this is what we've been talking about. When I first started this work, I used to want to fit in, because I work in corporate, and most of those corporate spaces now, even now in this day and age, a few 30 plus years post apartheid, are very male and also very white. That's who still holds the power. So of course that's changing. And when I first started going into those spaces, I used to first of all, got to be your best, Bhatia, And when people talk about, what is it, superhero and what is it, Superman or whatever the female equivalent was, I would feel shy to actually say, I actually don't know that. I didn't grow up with that. I didn't have toys as I was growing up. So I'm sharing this to say that all of that exists still. So I'm seeing how we have resilience and we also have trauma and we have lack of inclusion, and we also have inclusion. We have bravery. Some of our Zulu people fought and won a British war back in the day. So there's a lot of those dichotomies that can exist together in our culture. So thank you for that. So what you are sharing here in that chart and what I've just shared just gives us a sense of that is the soil, our histories, where we come from, what Mandela fought for, and so many of our people fought for, is the soil in which South African organizational culture grows. So our organizational culture is not devoid of that those roots that were there. So it's really about surface and the soil. So organizational culture is the surface. That's what you see blooming on top. And our national and lived experience is the soil that we live in. And I have indicated there's history, hierarchy, there's bravery, resilience, all of that is how we show up. I see there's a spelling error there. And creating a purpose-led culture happens within that context. for us. It is not, oops, sorry, I want to remove this. It happens within that context, and that's where we are. So I want to share a story. So back in the days, I did say that I have a, you know, that's what I do. I coach executives and their teams. Back in the days, maybe like, let's say a couple of years ago, I had the privilege of coaching a team, a leadership team in one of the top organizations here in South Africa. And the coaching was initiated by an HR executive. And she said, when she tells me a story, she was like, she was sitting in this meeting, and they were talking about how the team is not doing well, how the business is going down, but how these coaching initiatives, team coaching initiatives don't work. And then she said, no, I know one that works. She had experienced some of our work before. So she got in touch with me, and of course I was like, oh, okay, feeling all chuffed by, all right, so you know our work, so you are asking for us to come again. And so we came. So there was a catch though. So she initiated the coaching. The MD agreed, but did not initiate the engagement. And he did not commit to individual coaching. That was the thing. So anyway, so we came in. Back in my experience, I knew that this was a risk. I knew that we were carrying a risk, but we were like, okay, let's go on. She seems, the HR executive seems to be very, what's the word? Very influential. So she will be able to handle this. Anyway, fast forward, the coaching program started, the team shifted, and they clarified their shared values. We had a team charter going on. We spoke about, they learned what are the skills of putting together courageous conversations, connecting and giving feedback effectively according to how the brain works. So that went well until one day, we are in a coaching, team coaching. It was happening online, this particular one. The MD comes in, he screams at one particular colleague. He gives him growth feedback in the presence of everybody. He shrinks, and the team shrinks. Everybody's like stunned because we have been working on here's how we behave and here's how things work. The MD was changing, but his behavior not fast enough. So on that particular day, he did this, screamed at him, and everybody was stunned, and he left the room, said, I'm very busy, I have something important, you know, there's a client who's coming, and I've got to go. So he left us stunned. By the way, I think it's important to say that given the context of that particular company, I was coaching with a colleague who happened to be male and diverse, different from, that was part of, again, one of the lessons. If we have having a diverse team, especially in a country such as South Africa, a Black woman coming to talk to a group of males who are looking very different from him, from them, well, it might work, but it really, it's better if there's somebody else they could relate to. And so we have that diversity and the difference coming in. Anyway, he left, we were stunned, the room was like that. And here's what the first lesson that came up. And I've known this, and now part of it is really just insisting, if the MD is not in it, and if he is not being coached himself, then it's a non-starter. So the big lesson first was culture embodies, follows embodied behavior. I want to remove this, sorry, I can't see what's happening here. Something is blocking my, culture follows embodied behavior. So the MD was speaking something, was sort of saying, yeah, I'm aligned and everything, but in terms of embodying what the coaching was talking about and what the team was. He was not quite moving with the team on that. The second thing is that really culture follows that, not programs. So sometimes we can have a beautiful program. And if it is not embodied, we are not going where we want to go. It really follows that which is normalized, right? Second is that when purpose is not embodied at the top, alignment and impact is fragile. So we experience that. So as coaches, it's very easy when we're chasing the money, the contract is lucrative. And maybe we are afraid to tell our clients that if you are not in it, we are not in it, because it's about how it impacts our own impact, our own influence and our own reputation as coaches. So I think what's important, the point I wanted to bring here is that change is systemic, it's not linear. And we've been talking about this all the time since this morning, that human systems are recursive loops, identity and authority and norms and culture interact continuously. And that's why this particular part of this conversation is shifting us from when we have our individual purpose, how does that translate into how we coaching for impact, within an organization and beyond. So personal mission, I think this is what it is, the point I've just made, is great by itself. What then takes it, what takes it to the next level is when we are able to align our individual purpose to collective purpose, because individual purpose by itself gets limited. Okay, so that's fine. I think we can move on. So the ripple loop, I think this one is very important, and I just highlighted, and we've talked about it, is it's with me, my beliefs, who I believe I am, how I behave. That then translates to what is it that me and you share? What is it? And so as coaches, part of what we do here is to then say, yes, this is my purpose. What is yours? And what's our collective purpose? And how does that align to organizational purpose? So that when we kick our blankets in the morning to go to work, not only are we fulfilling our own purpose, but we are also fulfilling the organizational purpose. And when we align the two, that's where the energy comes from. So we're able to really, come rain or shine, kick our blankets, because going to work is about me fulfilling my purpose. So, and then the last is really, what do we normalize? So what do we together do, and how does that culture reinforce who we believe we are? Okay, so coaching, and I'm going to pause here for a bit of reflection. I was going to go into the breakout rooms, but it's not necessary. There's no time. I love the fact that Cindy did it, because I got to meet some Indian friends. And so I bring this paradox here, that we are talking here about how alignment, and that, for us as coaches, we say coaching is non-directive. We don't tell people what to do. And yet, when we align, we get so, our direction gets so influenced. It profoundly influences where we go and how we go. So that's where that alignment from individual to collective purpose goes. Okay, so I just want to pause here and say, before we do the latter part of it, so from your experience, so this is what I'm sharing here is an example of a typical top-notch corporate that has a leadership team, and the leadership is much more of a command and control style, and very easy to just come in and I shout at you, and then, and then I leave. what that means for how we align purposes. So I have these questions for us to reflect on. So for you, whether it's both in South Africa or in India or anywhere in the world, when have you observed individual purpose present and yet the surrounding system was not fully aligned? And when that happens, what patterns were you, in your experience, were operating beneath the surface? What do you become aware of there when we don't have that alignment? Just, you can open your chat and just up your mic. I don't mind just hearing your voices. Part of why this is uncomfortable because I'm the only one talking. So if I can hear your voices around, what's your experience on this? Around, aligning these purposes and making the impact that is sustainable for the organizations where you work in. I'll pause here for now before I complete. What do we get? What do we have in the chat? Dexter and everybody, open your mic if you feel. I can't see everybody, so I don't know where we're at.
Yes, Gobati, I think you've hit the nail on the head. When you come across large companies or groups, you may find that across the company, and I've experienced this myself, that the purpose and the culture seem so radically different within a division, within the company, within regions of the company's offices. And overall, if you look at the company and you travel across it, you may sometimes wonder whether you are in the same company at all. And it may surprise you that you start feeling isolated and even discriminated against in different parts of the company. Just because you're from a region or a division or a SBU that is so different from the others. So yes, I agree. And sometimes even within the division itself, the people at the top, the guys who lead, as you said, come, shout and leave. They have a singular purpose which they announce very loudly in front of everyone, but don't practice themselves when it comes to cohesiveness and collecting people together and taking it forward.
Yes, many times I experience this. Yeah.
Lorraine has a hand up.
Thank you. So, when you speak about individual purpose present, I think of my time in corporate, when you may have, your own purpose, yet the surrounding system is not aligned. And in my experience, I feel like we have all come from a history of trauma, and the trauma informs the patterns that leadership is operating from in our organizations, in our country, in our nation. So what needs to happen in order for us to move forward as people, as organizations, and as a country? We need to address those patterns that have been informed by the trauma of our past. So that's just my contribution, Kobatsi. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing that, Lorraine. And when you say that, what sparks in my mind is just the courage to confront it, speak about it. And that's, for us as coaches, that's our self-work, because you saw, as I started, we also have our own traumas, and how noticing that even the people who lead, the cultures that are there, are driven by those same traumas. Some people are there because they want to dominate, but also there's a command and control style that we all sort of learned from our past. So really noticing that what drives how we show up and how we lead, and what are those patterns. We're seeing them so much in South Africa, and I'll talk a bit about it soon. I don't know how much time I have, but I want to move quickly. And so with this, I just want to say, and when you have experienced purpose aligned across levels, what are the conditions? What do you notice there? And for me, I think that's our big work. Because yes, it's important for individuals and individual leaders to have their own personal purpose, but it's really what are the systems and what are the roots, what's the soil that they are creating that is new, because we all have our inherited soil, which is the deep roots that we grew up with or what we were born into. Okay, so because Dexter says, no, you've got to move on, I am moving on. So it would have been so nice to actually have this conversation. So it's so difficult, and it's not easy to discuss that a group is no longer fully aligned with the values that drew you there. It can become an elephant in the middle of the room. Wow. And coaching clients around this, it's important to help open up perspective so that they can make intentional, empowered choices. You're so powerful, Susan. And just surfacing it, I have noticed that one of the biggest things for us to surface that which is underneath the surface so that we can bring it to our consciousness and talk about it and work through it. So in the South African culture, you have seen those two pictures, just an example of diversity. The one is just showing our corporate South Africa. Our country is beautiful, the richest square mile in Africa. That's Sandton behind us here. And then our traditional heritage, which is, deep in and of itself. And with that, when we coach within South Africa, and I think it applies to the rest of the world, we're still really coaching people who are, leaders who are creating culture, who are still negotiating their own leadership identity from a history of command and control. Because, they grew up knowing they're superior and therefore they've got to do things in a particular way. All of us, even me, I grew up from a traditional context. My chief told me what to do and I just did it. And now I know that doesn't work. If I'm using that for leading, or if anybody's using that for leading, it's self-sabotage because the brain releases cortisol and we know what happens after that. We have in our country, in this context, where we're building leadership culture, we have Ubuntu and corporate competitiveness all at the same time, in the same room. So people, I want to be Ubuntu, and then there's the part it's for me and very self-centered approach. So all of that is there, deep history and inequality, and complexity and extraordinary resilience all in the same room. So coaching leaders in our context not just influences performance. In fact, performance becomes a byproduct, but really about how authority and leadership is expressed in organizations and in our society. So a lot of our work is about helping people to change their mindset about what leadership is. Now that we know what we know the most about how the brain works. What does that mean around how I shift my way of showing up, my way of leading, so that I get the results I want? And that coaching systemically requires understanding the context and a level of humility, may I say, because going into any environment like that, you never really know what you're going to find. And that sharpens really the skills of coaching that we talk about. Here's a piece that's important. We've spoken about it since morning. We are so diverse in this country. And we spoke earlier when Dumi and everybody since beginning, we're talking about seeing each other and just seeing how different we are. But you know what? Not just about seeing each other, but actually creating room at the table for each other. So that is a big piece of our work here when we're aligning individual purpose to collective purpose, because then that means it does not matter your color, your purpose matters. And when we bring those purposes together, that is how we make an impact and how we influence things. So seeing each other, that's our diversity. Now, a key piece that we've had to shift the thinking of our clients around what do we mean by diversity. Oftentimes, we can just settle for man, woman, you are boy, girl, you are black, white, you are gay, or whatever your sexual orientation. So we expand the conversation beyond this. It's so important to do that. And especially with Bo, when you heard earlier when Susan and that fire chart was going on, that there's another side of diversity, which is really our cognitive ways of thinking. And we then say to our, so in corporate South Africa, it's not just that your identity, you're different from me, you look different from me, but that's your thinking. You may think differently from me. Your style is different, and that both styles are critical. You have a different personality and team style in a context like this, and you have a systemic position that you are representing. So again, based on the history, our lenses are different. And it's important to take that into consideration when you're building a leadership culture. It's about all of these purposes, individual purposes, and depending on the position that I'm standing at, I see different. And so bringing all of that is so key in building a leadership culture that sticks, that actually got the people in the, that HR executive to come back to us and say, well, I saw your stick. How did you do it? And can you come and do it here? So these are some of the necessary ingredients. Okay, so let me quickly hasten to talk about what did we do about that leader, by the way? You might wonder, how did we deal with that? And I thought important to link that to what to just me and my colleague, and we did a number of things. The one, in terms of embodying coaching mindset, is consciousness of our influence on the system. As he was doing that, the rest of the team, as they shrunk, they were looking at us. What are you going to do about this? And part of what we said is that we've been coaching you. So how do you hold him accountable? What feedback are you able to give him? So taking that bringing that to the place. We are in the system, so taking it back to them. What are you going to do? How do you hold space and maintaining our coaching presence, that we can't tell the team what to do, but privately, we had to hold a mirror and give feedback and have the difficult conversation with the MD. I must say, he really was quite an elusive guy. He was just like, I'm very busy, I'm now working on a measure. And anyway, you guys are doing so well. Thank you for bringing people like this into our organization. And we were like, I was the leader of the project. I was like, no, we cannot go ahead. It's difficult for our own reputation. And it's just undoing that which we have been working on. So with that, he basically agreed to start coaching. He did it and then eventually chose his own coach. None of us, somebody from outside, were like, it doesn't matter as long as you are doing the necessary work so that there's alignment. And because all of this really is about alignment. Okay, so a few months later, I think it's an important one to get, I actually left that organization after that work, and I didn't hear much. And of course, I kept in touch with the HR person. And then one day I get this message from just a junior person who I met while I was there. She says, Bhatia, I don't know what you guys did. Meetings are calmer now. I'm not afraid to speak anymore. And back then, it was like, if you said something wrong, you are in trouble. So I don't know what changed at the top, but it is impacting us. I got this message from somebody quite junior. And I also got one from somebody who was in the leadership team who said, I'm not sure what happened, but you will be so proud that we are aligned. It helped that you allowed that storming and allowed, and basically was like, no, that's not how we want to work. So in the end, I want to submit that we got a bit of trust. We got some trust from the leader himself. And then when his leadership behavior shifted, the culture shifted and the impact reverberated to the lower levels. This one was like a middle manager. And when space is created for individuals to live and express their purpose, collective, collective purpose aligns and impact becomes sustainable. So I often ask myself, so making an impact, having grown as a barefoot Motswana girl, and having the difficult upbringing that I had, for me, making an impact is so important. I just don't want to do things for the sake of doing them. And so being able to be sure that as we enter organizations with our powerful tools, that we don't just do it and we take caution for what we need to take caution of, and learning now, knowing what to do and what not to do. So I want to close with a few of some of the lessons from the team that we work with here in South Africa, and our collective team experience with my colleagues at the ICF SA. That the first is that purpose is not, if purpose is not embodied at the top, there's a risk of, our impact, our systemic impact is not as effective as it would be, as sustainable as it would be. So for me, it's important that I don't just do it, that I actually make sustainable impact. And so this one here is that whole MD story. So he's got to go onto the thing. It must be a red flag when that does not happen. That alignment needs to be there and sustained throughout, and the shifting as he grows or she grows, because more and more it's the she at the top as well, and that she, as she shifts and she models those values. And another risk is when psychological safety is confused with comfort. I get this a lot. They'll be like, oh, are you saying we must accept mediocrity? And that actually, we're all nice and with each other. No. The question is, when tension is avoided, then instead of being metabolized, we are creating a space where people are walking on eggshells. Huh? Oh, this one is important. When culture is important. So we, in our country, you saw we have all the difference, right? We have Western, and then we have traditional African. And for our youth in particular, we've been meaning to change, we're working to change that, where maybe American looks more attractive. And maybe what happens in the UK might be what people want, and all the international companies coming into our country, that their culture is imported imported into our own, and that it overrides local soil and context. That becomes an issue, and not really taking the diversity and the uniqueness of South Africa in. And then diversity is structural. When people are just doing it for the sake of doing it to create a culture, but that representation does not really translate into relational. Earlier on, Klaus spoke about relational capital, that it's not just that we are different, in the room, but that actually we interact, we get that shared purpose and create a different melting pot. Okay, just quickly, sponsorship is political. Coaching is used, can be used to protect optics, not maturity. Sort of look, oh, we are doing it, or even to punish sometimes. You are not doing well, we're sending you to coaching. Or you're talking too much, we're sending you to coaching. And power is unexamined and not talked about, and that the incentives contradict purpose. So when we say we want to collaborate, but we are rewarding competition. Okay, let me move. That my last slide was to reflect on what I've said today. So I would have wanted us to talk a bit more, but it's a cozy note. It's for thoughts for you to think about. Close is, how conscious are you of your own ripples? So, because one of my learnings here is that how I show up in that room with my purpose and being courageous about it, or not, how I can go into my own shell because it's a big company or a very strong leader, that I would go there. So how conscious are you of your own ripples? And what ripples are you strengthening or weakening in your space? So thank you. I just want to pause there and say thank you for this, just to sort of take this lens around how we move from leadership, from individual to collective.
Kobati, I am so glad that you brought up the final session, because every single slide that you have shown is so powerful. And just like a funnel, you have brought everything that we had in a broad way, and you've made it very, very meaningful with this presentation of yours, with this talk of yours. You're sharing the case studies. You have dug into the reality of our times, and we can identify and resonate so much with what you've said. It shows that we may be worlds apart in terms of geography, but we're so close in terms of how our culture meets and mixes, and the kind of experiences that we have over here too. Thank you so much for this, Kobati. You can see that we are all riveted to you. None of us are even bothered about the time. And we'd love to have you again when we have another opportunity. But in the meanwhile, thank you so much. I'd like Nandini to flash the certificate of appreciation to you. And in order to Kobati, this is from our hearts to you. And you represent the South Africa Charter Chapter. So you carry that certificate with you as well, back to your chapter. Wonderful, Kobati. Very special thanks to you for making this whole event happen, not just for this session. I think you need to be really very proud of yourself, and I think we need to give you a big hand, Kobati, for this wonderful, wonderful day, not just this particular evening. We have to bring all good things to an end, so here's a certificate for our wonderful co-host Lorraine also, which I am going to flash here. Lorraine, thank you for shepherding the event from the beginning, managing the chat board, managing our speakers, bringing in the South African context through the way that you've integrated sessions. And thank you from our hearts, Lorraine, especially for running with the ball when we first got in touch with you to talk about the possibility of us collaborating together. Thank you, Lorraine. I'm so glad that the beginning and the end are together. Lorraine, you began, Kobati brought it towards right from the middle to the end, and we are the beneficiaries of this amazing collaboration within South Africa chapter and between South Africa chapter and us. Thank you so much. Well, there is a CCU form link that has been put in the chat. box. We will also send it to you later, but please see if you can capture this and fill in your CCU form. It's a feedback come CCU, so it also gives us a little bit of information of how this whole event has landed. Rather than send you two forms, we've sent it in one form, as we usually do, so that you also don't have to fill up too many forms. I don't know what else is there to say. Lorraine, I hand it over to you to have that final word. Sanjeev Bhatia has excused himself. He had to run off for some kind of emergency. He would have loved to have been here, but he says that he trusts me enough to not come back and find the session still going on.
Thank you so much, Dexter. And as we close this gathering today, it makes me reflect, on what was the deeper meaning of today. Coaching is just not about performance. It's about our presence and creating meaning. Creating spaces, actually, for our clients to find their truth, their resilience, and their purpose. So I'm so excited that India and South Africa have come together, not just as chapters, but as communities. We're from different continents. We have different histories, but we are deeply connected in our humanity. So this collaboration is only the beginning. May we carry this forward. And let it carry forward into your life, into your leadership, and into your everyday life. Thank you so much for your presence and your humanity. Namaste.
Sawubona. Oh my word. Okay. So, thank you. I would invite anybody who has something to say. This is the time and moment. Unmute yourself, say what you need to say, and we will soon be saying goodbye. Very sadly, though.
I just wanted to say thank you as somebody who got into this and working on it. It went really well. I think we should do it again. Thank you to everybody. I think I see Kim E smiling. We can do it again. Maybe this is just the beginning.
Yes, maybe next month. Hey guys, why not? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And I said in the chat, we'll see India on the cricket pitch tomorrow. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Dexter Saurav Datta here. I would also like to just say that this event proves one belief which I think is floating in the world, that the world is losing its borders. And we have just proved it by coming together as ICF chapters, because this event has not only brought together India and South Africa. If we go through the registrations, it's been across the globe. So I think it's been very impactful, very wide coverage, and it's such a powerful moment for all of us coaches. So thanks to everybody for doing this. Thanks for being here.
Glad you mentioned that, Saurav, because we've had every single ICF chapter from India logging in. We've had several chapters from other parts of the globe logging in. And we're very grateful to everybody for acknowledging this event, acknowledging ICF Mumbai's efforts to put this on board. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we have a certificate for Dexter also. So
we do? Okay.
putting everything. So here is it that definitely he also deserves one.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dexter. Thank you so much, Dexter.
Thank you. Thank you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Dexter.
Okay, we don't want to go, do we?
It looks like people don't want to leave.
Dexter, if I may, our president, Tsietsi, just asked me to say thank you to everybody. He had to drop off for a personal commitment. And from my side, I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but anyway, let it just happen, seeing we were all authentic. A deep, deep thank you to our team. Oh, my word, Kobati, help me here, Lorraine. A deep, deep thank you to our team. You know, you guys hit the ground running. Dexter, for your patience and the messages that I would get at 12 o'clock at night. And for all of you this morning who could have been anywhere else, thank you so much for serving our community. Deeply appreciated.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everybody. Right, it's time to say bye-bye. As much as we don't want to go, we have to. But see you tomorrow on the cricket field.
Beat you.
Bye.
Bye.